When Ben Johns walked off the court at the SXY Newport Beach Open with 2 gold medals hanging around his neck, nobody in the crowd looked surprised. And honestly, that might be the most terrifying part of this whole story. Because when the #1 doubles player in the world wins back-to-back double golds in the span of a single month, and the reaction from the rest of the tour is basically a shrug and a sigh, something very real is happening to professional pickleball. And by the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly why Ben Johns is looking more unbeatable than ever, what his rivals have tried and failed to do about it, and why the next few weeks could either confirm his total dominance or finally crack the armor. Let's talk about who Ben Johns actually is, because if you are new to the sport, you need context to understand why this matters. Ben Johns did not come from pickleball. He came from tennis, from table tennis, from a background that gave him hand speed and court awareness that most players spend years trying to develop. He broke on to the PPA tour scene and almost immediately started collecting titles like they were going out of style. His breakthrough was not a single tournament, it was more like a takeover. Within a couple of seasons, he held the #1 ranking in men's singles, men's doubles, and mixed doubles simultaneously, a feat no other player in the history of the sport has achieved for as long as he has. And right now, heading into April of 2026, Ben Johns is not slowing down. If anything, he is accelerating. So here is what just happened. At the SXY Newport Beach Open, one of the marquee stops on the 2026 PPA Tour calendar, Ben Johns did what Ben Johns does. In men's doubles, he and his partner Gabe Tardio entered as the #1 seed and lived up to every bit of that billing. They battled through the bracket and eventually faced the #2 seed, Christian Alshon and Hayden Patriquin, in the final, and they won. Gold medal. In mixed doubles, Johns paired up with Leigh Waters, the most dominant woman in the sport, and together they faced the 10th-seeded team of Tina Pisnik and Eric Onsens, who had pulled off stunning upsets against the 2nd and 3rd-ranked teams just to make it to the championship match. It did not matter. Johns and Waters cruised to another gold. That win marked their 60th title together as a mixed doubles partnership and their 11th gold this season alone. Let that sink in for a second. 60 titles. And here is a stat that almost does not seem real. Since Leigh Waters and Ben Johns joined forces at Desert Ridge in January of 2022, they have never failed to win mixed doubles gold in consecutive tournaments. That covers 66 straight events. Not a single back-to-back loss in over 4 years of playing together. The consistency is borderline inhuman. But Newport Beach was not an isolated event. Just 1 week earlier, at the PPA Greater Zion Cup in southwestern Utah, Johns and Tardio also took home men's doubles gold, and Johns and Waters added yet another mixed doubles title to their collection. That means in the span of 2 weekends in March, Ben Johns collected 4 gold medals across 2 separate PPA Tour stops. 4 golds, 2 tournaments, 1 month. And while the rest of the doubles field is scrambling to find answers, Johns keeps showing up, executing his game plan, and walking away with hardware. This was a double gold sweep for the 2nd consecutive event, and it exposed a pressure point that the entire tour needs to reckon with. Now let us dig into why this is happening. Because dominance at this level does not just happen by accident. There are real, identifiable reasons why Ben Johns is pulling away from the pack, and they start with how he plays alongside his partners. The first reason is matchup and partnership dynamics. In men's doubles, the Johns and Tardio pairing has become one of the most feared teams on tour, and it is not because they hit the ball harder than everyone else. It is because of positioning and discipline. Ben Johns does not try to win points with flashy speed-ups or high-risk attacks. He wins by making the right shot at the right time, over and over again. If you have ever watched him play a long dink rally, you know exactly what I mean. He is not waiting for the perfect ball. He is constructing it, manipulating angles, changing pace, moving his opponents millimeter by millimeter until the opening appears, and when it does, he strikes. Gabe Tardio complements that perfectly. He is aggressive when the window opens and patient when it does not. Together, they create a wall of consistency that opposing teams simply cannot break through. At Newport Beach, their opponents in the final, Alshon and Patriquin, are legitimately elite. They earned the number 2 seed for a reason, but even they could not find the cracks. In mixed doubles, the Waters and Johns partnership operates on another level entirely. The stat line from the Newport Beach final tells the story better than any commentary. They had fewer dinks into the net or wide by a margin of 10-2. 10-2. That is not just good execution, that is surgical precision under championship pressure. When your unforced error count in the dink game is that low, you are essentially forcing the other team to beat you with perfect shots. And at the highest level of pickleball, producing perfect shots under relentless pressure, point after point, is nearly impossible. The longest rally in the mixed final went 42 shots. 42 shots of back and forth, probing, attacking, resetting. And Johns and Waters won it. That kind of patience and precision does not just beat opponents, it breaks them mentally. The second reason is mental fortitude and the crushing weight of reputation. There is a psychological dimension to competing against Ben Johns that does not show up in any stat sheet. When you step onto the court against the number 1 player in the world, a guy who has won 60 mixed titles with his partner and has held the top ranking in multiple divisions for years, there is a voice in the back of your head. And that voice says, even if I play my absolute best today, is it going to be enough? That doubt, even the tiniest sliver of it, changes the way you play. You start taking risks you should not be taking. You go for lines when the middle is the smarter shot. You speed up when patience is the winning play. At Newport Beach, we saw this play out in the mixed doubles final. Pisnik and Ansons had genuine momentum coming in. They had just knocked off 2 higher-seeded teams on their way to the championship match. They were riding high on confidence. But against Johns and Waters, that confidence evaporated. The pressure of facing the most decorated mixed doubles team in pickleball history on Championship Sunday, with the crowd watching every point, was a completely different kind of test, and they could not pass it. That is not a criticism of Pisnik and Ansons. They played brilliantly to get there. It is a testament to the aura that Johns and Waters have constructed over 4 years and 66 tournaments. That aura is real. It sits on the court like an invisible player. And right now, nobody on tour has figured out how to neutralize it. The third reason is schedule management and physical conditioning. And this is something that does not get nearly enough attention. The PPA Tour schedule in 2026 is grueling. Players are traveling across the country, sometimes internationally, competing in multiple divisions across multiple days, and the physical toll adds up fast. Ben Johns has made a calculated decision this season that speaks volumes about his long-term strategic thinking. He has essentially stepped back from singles competition. At the Greater Zion Cup, he chose not to enter the singles draw at all. According to reports, he has dropped to number 11 in the singles rankings and has all but conceded the path to qualifying for the singles year-end event. He would need to win the Atlanta Slam and simultaneously hope that 4 or 5 players ranked above him, including Vich, Goins, Joseph, and Sock, all fail to advance far enough to block his path. The odds of that happening are slim. But here is the strategic brilliance. By pulling back from singles, Johns is preserving his body and his focus for the events where he is most dominant, men's doubles and mixed doubles. It is a calculated sacrifice. He is giving up 1 crown to tighten his grip on 2 others. And based on the results from March, it is working spectacularly. While other top players are grinding through 3 divisions and arriving on Championship Sunday exhausted and banged up, Johns shows up fresh, focused, and ready to execute at the highest level. That physical edge, that extra 5% of energy in the legs during a 42-shot rally is the difference between gold and silver. Now let us talk about the part of this story that is genuinely unusual, because there is something happening here that goes beyond normal winning. It is the way Ben Johns is winning. At Newport Beach and at Greater Zion the week before, there was not a single match where Johns looked like he was in serious trouble. Not one. In most tournaments, even the greatest players face at least one moment where they are pushed to the brink, where they have to dig deep and find something extra. But Johns right now is operating on a completely different frequency. The consistency is relentless and almost eerie. Tournament after tournament, match after match, the pattern repeats. He shows up, he executes his strategy, he collects gold, he moves on to the next event. The rivals around him, Colin Johns, J.W. Johnson, Alshon, Patriquin, Stackscrewed, Diescu, they are all incredibly talented players. They are all training hard. They are all studying film. They are all making adjustments. And yet, when it matters most, on Championship Sunday, with gold on the line, they keep running into the same wall. It is not that they are getting worse. It is that Ben Johns is not giving them any room to breathe. There is a pattern here that should concern every doubles team on the PPA Tour. In men's doubles, Johns and Tardio have won at Newport Beach and Greater Zion back-to-back. In mixed, Johns and Waters have their 66 tournament streak of never losing consecutive events. At some point, you have to stop calling this a hot streak and start calling it what it really is. This is an era. And eras in professional sports are defined not just by how often the champion wins, but by the total absence of any credible threat to the throne. Right now, that threat does not exist. So what happens next? There are two realistic paths forward from here, and the next few weeks will tell us which one we are on. The first scenario is the bounce-back route for the rest of the tour. The next major test is the MB Hanoi Cup, running from April 1st through 5th. This is a PPA Tour event in Asia, and it represents a genuinely unique challenge for Johns. The travel is long. The time zone shift is significant. The climate and playing conditions are different from anything on the North American swing. And critically, the field will include not just the usual PPA competitors, but also players from the AP Tour who bring unfamiliar styles, different tactical approaches, and the hunger of athletes who have not been beaten by Johns a dozen times already. If there is ever a tournament where Johns could be vulnerable, an international event with jet lag, humidity, and fresh opponents who do not carry the psychological baggage of past losses, this could be it. After Hanoi, MLP Miami sits on the horizon, and the team format always introduces variables that raw individual skill cannot fully control. If Johns and Tardio drop a men's doubles final in Asia, or if another mixed team finally snaps the Waters-Johns streak on foreign soil, the narrative shifts instantly. The rest of the tour would have tangible proof that the wall can be cracked, and confidence would come flooding back. The second scenario is the one that should keep every other player up at night. If Ben Johns wins in Hanoi, especially against a broader international field that includes APP-level talent, the message to the rest of the sport becomes deafening. It would mean that neither jet lag, nor unfamiliar conditions, nor fresh opponents, nor anything else the tour can throw at him is enough to slow him down. It would mean that the gap between Johns and the rest of the doubles field is not closing, it is widening. And for teams like Alshon and Patriquin or Stackscrewed and Diescu, who have been knocking on the door all season, it would mean that the window to make a move might be closing faster than anyone expected. If Johns keeps stacking golds through Hanoi and into MLP Miami, we are not just watching the best season of his career, we are watching the most dominant stretch in the history of professional pickleball doubles. Here is my prediction. Ben Johns is going to win at least one gold at the MB Hanoi Cup. The travel and conditions might cost him one title, maybe mixed doubles if the schedule is back-to-back, but men's doubles gold with Tardio feels almost inevitable right now. The partnership is too dialed in, the strategy is too refined, And the rest of the field has not shown anything in March that suggests they have cracked the code. The real question is not whether Johns will keep winning. It is whether anyone can make him uncomfortable enough to force a real adjustment. And so far, the answer is no. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Ben Johns can keep this double gold streak alive through Hanoi and into the summer? Or is the international swing the moment someone finally figures him out? Drop your answer in the comments. A, if you think the streak continues. B, if you think Hanoi is where it ends. I will be reading every single one.